Hello, Jim 12's here again. It has been a very long time, I know. I'm here in my local woods again, and today I want to talk to you about my first book since I retired. I retired in 2021, and I've written a book since last year, about November last year, 24, and just put it up this week onto Amazon, and I'd love you to go and have a look. Now, I don't want to really talk about the book directly. I've done a launch on that, and it should be coming out in the Daily Declaration soon. And I've also done a story of the book on my website. So if you want to go and read those, that would be lovely. So I'm not going to do that. But what I want to do, the links are below. What I want to do is just reflect a little on the book and the process that I've gone through, and perhaps you might do too. First of all, the title says, "While we were sleeping." A wake-up call for all Christians. Now, I think you could take that, you might take that as being a bit of a put down, as a negative criticism of somebody who you deem to be asleep, and they may not think they're asleep. And no, my book isn't intending to be rude, condescending at all, and I hope you don't read it as such. But here's the rub. If somebody was asleep in a burning house, would you start thinking about, oh, I don't want to disturb their sleep? You'd be yelling at them. You'd be pulling them out of bed. You would, wouldn't you? So it depends what the context is. And the idea of my book is suggesting that we are in a house that's on fire. And we need to get up. We need to get up. We do. My second thought is this. Think of somebody who's hypnotized. Now, right at the beginning of the process, the subject of hypnotism is somebody who agrees to be hypnotized, but the hypnotist, if that's the word, is the one responsible for sending us to sleep, and he or she is the one who's responsible for waking us up. So I think it's helpful to think about the idea that some of us, maybe some in our families, in our communities, we may think of them as being hypnotized asleep. Not asleep because they're tired and they've gone to sleep, and just they don't want to be bothered. It's just that they actually have come under a spell, and they can't do anything about it until it is broken. Number 3, I want to talk about, have we become desensitized to stuff? I remember in the 1970s, I was part of our church who went trotting off to London, the streets of London, and we stood outside a cinema that was showing a film called The Life of Brian, a satirical film about the life of Jesus. Now, I suspect, I've never seen the film, I've seen little clips, I must confess, but I've never seen it and I don't want to. But I suspect there are many, many Christians who have. I'm not pointing the finger at you and saying you shouldn't have. I'm just saying, have we become desensitized? And then, as Christians, and then let's consider the author Salmon Rushdie. I forget the title of his book. Anyway, the Muslim world took great exception to him, and so much so that, to my knowledge, it ran for decades. Whether it's still going, I don't know. I don't know whether he's still alive. There's a fatwa on his life. I think that's what it's called. In other words, the Muslims were highly offended by the suggestion of that their faith wasn't what they believed it to be. So what about us Christians? Are we desensitized to people criticizing our faith? Anyway, number 4. The book has got 15 chapters, and you could read each chapter as a distinct chapter, an essay, and it's about 4,500 words long, each chapter. And that includes the testimony of the person that I interviewed. So, depending on your situation, you may want to look at my book as a manual. So you look at the index and you say, oh yeah, I would like to read what Jim's had to say about this. And a month later you might think, oh yeah, Jim's book, there might be something in there about that. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, there is. So I'd like you to think of it in terms of a manual that you can dip into, or you can start at chapter 1, which is on marriage, and work your way through to chapter 15, which is on Israel, and everything between. And number 5 today, I really want to give a massive shout out to the 15 people that I interviewed. I really don't know at this stage what an impact they've had on me. It's been such a privilege to interview them and write up their story, their personal walk, their testimony. It has been so inspiring. So if you think I'm not particularly inspiring, which I understand you would think that, but you might think, oh, I wonder who was interviewed. Well, go and have a dip inside the book and you will see they are incredible. Their stories are absolutely amazing, and I highly commend them to you. In most cases, their story comprises half of each chapter, and then my commentary is the second half. And, oh, Kookaburra interrupting me. Here we go. And finally, a massive shout out to the Daily Declaration. Now, I've been contributing to that online newspaper for the last 4 years, and I noticed that there were so many people contributing to that platform with such great wealth of insight and knowledge, experience. And so that was basically probably one of the kickstarts for the book, because there's so much in there, and every chapter has references to the Daily Declaration. So if you're not familiar with the Daily Declaration yet, please follow the link, and I feel you'll find it to be a very uplifting, encouraging platform, and please think about contributing comments or questions at the end of each piece. The authors really love that, and it provokes some great conversations. Anyway, enough of me today. I trust that you find While We Were Sleeping a wake-up call for all Christians, to be an inspiration and a help, a tool to help you navigate your own thinking and to give you ideas for conversations with family and friends in your community. Anyway, God bless for now, and see you next time.